The Department of Trade and Industry was literally sent an email from the Department of Health with a set of liquor proposals, one of which is raising the age restriction to 21. And I know from senior directors within the Department of Trade and Industry that they had no idea what was in it, and they essentially just published it as policy without considering the implications. Some of them are so bizarre that it would actually be technically illegal to sell liquor lawfully anywhere in South Africa if implemented. We now are told that there is going to be a revised version, which has not been published, presented to the Cabinet soon. The Cabinet's own resolution about this is that such policy proposals must be preceded by a socio-economic impact analysis. None has been done. We have in fact done some sort of analysis, looked at the international statistics, and looked at claims made in support of the proposal to raise the drinking age to 21. It is said that where this has been done, there has been a reduction in crime rates and in accident rates and alcohol abuse and family abuse. This is simply untrue. Firstly, what has happened is that the long-term trend in virtually all countries has been reduced crime, reduced abuse, and reduced motor car accidents attributable to drunk driving. All that happened is the historic trend continued in the countries concerned. In some countries, including South Africa, things got worse, with no change in the drinking age. In other words, the drinking age had no connection whatsoever to do with the levels of alcohol abuse, which were highest during the prohibition era of apartheid, fell down precipitously after liquor was lawfully available to black South Africans, and has again started going up. This is because of corruption and poor policing. But more seriously, there are different age restrictions in different countries. Some countries have none. Anyone can drink. Toddlers are free to go and buy liquor. Those countries happen to have the lowest rates of crime, such as murder and homicide, and the lowest rates in the world of drunk driving. Then you have the countries that are somewhere below 18. They are the next lowest. In other words, crime rates coincide with low drinking, not high drinking ages. Then most countries in the world, over 100, have the same as South Africa, 18, and they are still higher. It goes up from something like 3.3 per 100,000 of population to, in our case, in the vicinity of 8 or 9 per 100,000 of population. In other words, 2 or 3 times higher rates of homicide where drinking ages are higher. Then there are a handful of countries, very, very few, about 10 or so at most, not all of the countries have data available, which we are now planning to join, the world's outliers, the world's exceptions. Those countries happen to have very high rates of crime and homicide and alcohol-related driving and so on. So the facts are, the international statistics tell us, our own statistics in South Africa, with the history of prohibition for black South Africans, then limited access for black South Africans, and then finally liberalization after democracy in South Africa, tell us that crime rates fall when liquor laws are relaxed. What we should now be doing is the opposite of what is proposed. We should now go to the logical conclusion of the trend, which is to actually scrap these liquor controls and start treating liquor like any other commodity, and most importantly of all, start respecting adult South Africans, start treating them like adults, trusting them to be able to control their own lives. And finally, what the police must do is properly enforce not liquor, but crime. Enforce laws that protect people from being violently assaulted, protect people from drunk driving, and so on. That is their job, and that is where we have failed. It has nothing to do at all with liquor. I said that was final, but I do have a final, which is that the small group of people between 18 and 21 account for virtually none of the liquor-related crime in South Africa. It is overwhelmingly older people over 21, and actually road accidents are overwhelmingly caused by sober drivers, well over 2/3. Homicides and crimes are overwhelmingly by sober people, not drunk people. So if there is any logic at all, then you should ban sober driving, paradoxically, and you should ban driving by older people. This law takes no account of factual evidence readily available to the department itself, but which I happen to know the department is unaware of because it wasn't even their idea in the first place.